Hey everyone, this is a 360 virtual reality video. We're going to take a look at this deck that we built on the House of Horrors. So take a look around. If you're using your laptop, desktop, move the screen with your mouse. If you're using a device, you can move it around. If you're ideally wearing goggles, a viewer, and headphones, it's really cool. There's Kenton. He'll be working while we're inspecting the deck. And on every deck inspection that I do, I start with the foundation, the posts, the footers. And there's a footer there. The posts. So I'm going to ask you to find the defects. If you're using your desktop or device, you can hit pause. If you're using a viewer, it's a little difficult to hit pause. But these posts, there are defects at the posts. So the footers are there for the posts, but the posts are off center of the footers. Both of them are off center. There's a defect. And one post is encased in concrete. Not this one with the base, but the other one you saw previously. And remember, this is virtual reality, so you can take a look around at other things. And the posts are not of decay-resistant wood. That's another defect. There was a stamp on the back of that post there, indicating Douglas fir. And the sonotube will hold water, which encourages decay. And we're going to see if they are plumb. This one's a little off. So it's not vertical and plumb, straight up and down there. And take a look at this one here. Again, it's a bit off. Over about 3 feet, it's off about an inch. It's not very good. Let's take a look at this post. Is it plumb? No. Nope, it's way off. How about wrapping around the other side? And that's okay there. So the posts are out of plumb. They're not vertical, straight up and down. So start with the bottom when you inspect a deck and work your way up. The next thing we're going to take a look at is the main central load-bearing girder. All right, so here we are taking a look at the deck using 360 virtual reality. So move around. We moved our way from the posts and the foundation footers to the main girder. And what we can see here is the main girder is undersized. And the floor joists are not all nailed to the girder. So you can take a look at that joist. There's no nailing, they're just resting there. There's no fastening of the floor joists of the deck to the main girder, which is really just a 2x6. 2x6. It should be doubled up. It should be a beam. It's undersized. And also, the girder has no direct. There's some fasteners right there. There's a fastener to the girder from the floor joist. No fastener there. And the girder has no direct bearing on the posts, right? So it's attached to the side of the posts with those lag bolts. There's even a separation in between this floor joist and the girder. There's daylight in between. And no fastening there. And this girder is not attached at all to the side wall there. Grab my light so we can see. It's just resting on a little board that's been nailed to the side of the home or the foundation, as if it was put there temporarily. So take a look. You got to take a look at the ends of a load-bearing beam or girder. So that has inadequate support. The girder is undersized, inadequately supported at the wall, no direct bearing on the posts, no solid blocking above the girder in between the joists, and not all the joists are fastened to the girder. Hey everybody, let's take a look at the flashing at the ledger area where the deck boards meet the house wall and the siding. Well, I see flashing. You may think, hey, that's great, but actually it's not properly installed. You shouldn't see flashing like this laying on top of the floorboards. Obvious reason is water can travel underneath the flashing and then penetrate where you don't want it to. The flashing should be under the floorboards, properly installed above the ledger board. Angle flashing underneath the planking. See it? It's just an L shape there. So water's going to travel down. Water tension is going to move it around the bottom there and then get behind the ledger board and do some damage. How about the flashing underneath? Well, it's improper flashing at the bottom and the top. This is like angle flashing right here. It really should be a Z flashing material. And then the ledger board itself, how is it secured to the house? Well, you want to see one or two, depending on the size, right? Some dimensions that you can take, some measurements you can take of the deck. But I like to see those staggered bolts, but these are, I think, very small. 1/4 inch lag screws. All the bolt heads are very, very small. Smaller than the width of my fingernail. So we have improper flashing between the bottom ledger and the top of the siding. Not angle flashing. Improper flashing above and below the ledger. And these bolts are way too small. Inadequate attachment of the deck ledger board to the home. All right. Next, let's take a look at the floor joists. That's what we'll do next. Yeah, that flashing is not good at all. All right, floor joists are next. The main thing about this deck is the cantilever. So there's a rule that we use when judging the cantilever effect. And so using the measuring tape, remember, move your viewer or your camera or your device around. So that's about 1 foot, let's say. Just round it around. It's about 1 foot of a cantilever. And if we move back, follow the measuring tape to the house structure, it's a little over 3 feet in total length, with 1 foot of that total length as a cantilever. And that's too much. The cantilever length exceeds 1/4 of the total joist length. So that's a defect there. Yep. All right, so let's take a look at the joist hangers. There's a lot of them. Move around and take a look using this 360 virtual reality. There's a joist hanger there. There's a joist hanger there. We've got joist hangers properly installed and improperly installed on this one. The first one had proper fasteners. This one here, where the joist end meets the ledger board, is installed with wood screws. Not very good. We've got some missing fastening there. We have upside down joist hangers. We have, so when you're doing an inspection, you can do this as well. There's some proper fastening there. but the joist isn't securely within the bottom of the joist hanger. There's that separation there. It should seat firmly within the joist hanger. And there's another problem there where the joist hanger was bent, and so that joist board, floor joist, is not, see it? It's not seated properly. So when you're moving around and your head's going up and down and all around, and you're taking pictures, you can take. This is a good idea. Oh, those are roofing nails in that upside down joist hanger, and that's properly installed. Except the joist does not come in contact with the ledger board. There's a space in between the joist end and the ledger board there. So that's a defect. You don't want that. See that space there flashing through? Yep. So that's like that joist is improperly cut, wrong size. So turn around and you've got one joist upside down there at the ledger board and improperly sized floor joists as well. The joist hangers themselves are improperly sized. And there's some crazy stuff going on there. So just call it out. We have a deck, how to inspect decks, online free course. And this is just a fun way of looking at a bunch of defects. There's some nails there and a big lag screw that's been used to attach the joist hanger to the ledger board. There's all kinds of defects there. There's even a crack in the ledger board there. It's a concern. So we've got gaps between hangers and joists, wrong fasteners installed, some things bent and flattened, upside down joist hangers, and just a lot of defects at the House of Horrors deck. All right, next is planking. All right, let's take a look at the planking here. I'm going to take some measurements. I want to know what the span is for these deck floorboards. It's about 16 inches. Okay. Well, let's hook this floor joist here with the measuring tape. 2 feet. Okay. Let's take a look at the other ones before I say anything. 2 feet. Yep. And it's another 2 feet. Okay, so this structure is built with floor joists 2 feet on center. And I know a little bit about these floorboards, and it's too big of a span. So they're going to start to sag. And so they're spanned too far. The floorboards the joists need to be 16 inches on center. The fasteners are no good either. They've been nailed down. This floorboard structure that's improperly nailed there, double nailed, cracking, and this needs to be screwed down with screws. And now we have planking that you have 2 ends in a row, so you can't have that. The ends have to be staggered, and there's a split. There's an end that is in the middle of a joist bay. So those 2 ends of the floor structure are kind of hanging in midair. And that is chipped and broken and cracked there. It's been double nailed. So I'm a little concerned about what's going on below as well. Just looking, following the floor joist, making sure joints are staggered. So far, these floorboards are overspanned. This one, that is not lying. That joint there is not lying on top of a floor joist. That's not very good. We have improper fasteners. They should be screwed. There's a bit of a floor problem. See, the floorboards are sagging, but on the beam, on this end here, it's not, because they're overspanned. And where it ends at this side here, there's inadequate support. There's only about 1/8 of an inch. The floor joist runs along here, the rim joist, and there's very little support for all of these floorboards here. So if you look down, inadequate support at the ends. Some planks also only span one joist bay. And some planks don't even span on top of a joist. So there's a joist there. If you look up, that joist has been cracked because of the really bad nailing at the end where the two ends of the floorboards meet. So a nail went through and it cracked the floor joist. Improperly fastened, and it's cracking right there. So we've got some defects. Overspanning, improper fasteners, inadequate gaps between the plank ends. There should be a little space. Some planks only span one joist bay. And the planks have inadequate bearing on the ends. All right, so there's the defects at the House of Horrors deck. All right, let's check out the handrail assembly, the railing, the guardrail. The space between the spindles should be no more than 4 inches apart. So that's a little over 4. That is a 4 1/4 inches. That is also 4 1/4 inches. So we don't want a kid's head moving through this space here. And that's about 4 1/4, almost 4 1/2. That is also about 4 1/2 inches. So it's a safety hazard right now. Yeah, too big of a space. And on the side, same thing, over 4 inches. Close, but too big. And let's measure from the top of the railing, handrail, and move down the measuring tape, down, 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 down to the floor, and it's 30, not even 34 inches. Well, inadequate height. It has to be 36 inches. It has to be a 36-inch minimum for the handrail. And we've got, about 34 inches. So the height of the handrail, the deck rail, is too short. Short by 2 inches. So we've got improper spacing between the balusters, spindles, and the lower board of the deck. Yep, 34 inches. Too short. And we have inadequate height. And the fastening of the bottom horizontal rail is attached to the post with, looks like, I can't even see any kind of fastening. It's a finish nail, actually. So if we loop around the outside, there's 2 little finish nails. Do you see them? No, it's actually just one little finish nail that's installed. So the bottom rail is installed with finish nails. And there's another. Yep, only one finish nail, that little guy right there. And there's another one on this side. Yep, one little finish nail. That's it. So that's a safety hazard. So the bottom rail is very loose, wobbling back and forth. Also, drywall screws are used to attach the spindles. Drywall screws will easily corrode, quickly corrode, and lose strength. You also stain the wood. There's finish nails there at the corner. Another finish nail. Yeah, you can see that little gap there. Can you see that nail? There's 2 installed there. And that's all it's holding on. So the drywall screws are no good. That's a defect. Check out the fasteners. You got to check out the fasteners when you're inspecting the deck. And these spindles are on the wrong side. We recommend them to be on the inside so that there's more strength. So if someone's on the deck pushing on the handrail, these spindles will just simply pop out if they lose their fastening. So the spindles really should be on the inside of the bottom rail of the rail. There's some more finished nails in the corner there. And these posts also are a concern. They're only attached to the side of the rim joist only. Ideally, we want that railing attached to a structural component of the house or the deck. They're just lag bolted into a rim joist, an end joist, a floor joist. Checking out how, see if any heads are broken off. And these screws here, they seem to be going all the way through. Yep. All right. And, oh, yep. Yep. Oh, this one's, the washer spins. So you know if the washer spins, it's not securely screwed in. Yep, that one. Take a look. And it looks like different lag screw was used on this one. This one barely went through. Barely popping through there. Ideally, it would go all the way through. You want to see that screw point go all the way through the material. And those look pretty good. And that's fastened in on the other side. Yep. All right. So that's the handrail assembly. And let's see, just make sure. How is this attached? This girder's attached to the post. Oh, and it blew out the other side. So they drilled through and they got a hammer and pounded those bolts through, and it popped structural material of that top of the post right off. That is a structural concern right there. That's a defect. All right, let's take a look at the siding now that we've picked on the handrail so much.